Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Uh, I want to start with thanking you and appreciating you all for taking out time in Sunday evening and coming here for my presentation. First of all, I would really like to show my gratitude to Dr. Manish sir for letting me be a part of this series and this stage. I really appreciate you, sir. And I would like to thank the whole team of GSTS for being very cooperative, very supportive throughout this journey. And secondly, I would like to give a warm welcome to the Jagdish sir for being here. And I just heard that you had the first-hand experiences of the place itself at the ground root level. So I would really like to know your insight as well after the presentation. I would really love that. Uh, Now I will, first of all, I would like to give my introduction to everybody. My name is Sourabh Grover. I've done my honors in English from Sri Venkateshwara College, South Campus, Delhi University, followed up by my master's degree in political science from the Department of Political Science. I graduated last year in 2024, as well as qualified my NET JRF in the same year. And my topic for today's presentation is the Citizenship Amendment Act in Assam, legal controversies, socio-political ramifications, and global comparative insights. So this I'll start with the overview of the presentation. What I'm going to talk about in this presentation is, firstly, I'll talk about the CAA. I will give a brief introduction of the CAA. I'll talk about the different legal provisions of the CAA, and I'll move on to why I choose Assam as a case study for my research, and I'll give the historical context, the backdrop of migration, which happened in Assam from a long period of time, which is happening. Then I'll go on and talk about different legislation which are there, which are related and interlinked with the CAA, which are NRC and Assam Accord. I'll talk about them briefly, and then I'll move on to analyzing the demographic changes, how it affected the lives of people, and what implication does it hold for Assam. And then I'll give an international perspective on the same topic. I'll talk about citizenship on a broader level, at an international level, how different nations see the citizenship and the laws of citizenship, how it varies from state to state internationally, and also talk about some of the similar cases which are happening in the world regarding citizenship. Further, I'll just give some policy recommendation, future outlook, what can be done to mitigate the challenges which is posed by the Citizenship Amendment Act 2019. So the first slide, this is the introduction to the CAA. So I'll briefly talk about it to give you a basic understanding of what this amendment is actually about. So this act was passed in 11 December 2019 by the Parliament. This particular amendment provides a pathway for the people, particularly religious persecuted minorities from our neighboring countries, which are Bangladesh, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, to acquire Indian citizenship. Now, which is it's a humanitarian approach towards citizenship, and India has historically been a sanctuary for the oppressed people. So now the group which are the targeted group which are there, which we'll talk about, is the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Buddhists, Jains, Parsis, and the Christians. Now these are the religious group which are concerned with this particular act, because these are the groups which are historically persecuted, and they will be provided a legal status as a citizen of India under this particular act. Now, till here, everything seems okay. It's good. It's a great humanitarian approach. But the main concern, or the main thing which has caused a lot of debate and controversies around this particular act is the exclusion. So the exclusion, CAA particularly excludes some certain religious group from its provisions, and that has raised remarkable debates and anger of different people from all around India and all around the world, as we see. One more thing which CAA does is it gives a fast track citizenship process to the people of these particular communities, the naturalization, which a person can acquire citizenship by naturalization in India, according to the Citizenship Act of 1955. That time was 11 years previously, but under this act, it has now changed to 5 years, which makes it way easier for the people of these communities to actually get citizenship of India. Now, it is very this particular amendment is very significant. It gives basically it ratifies the historical injustice which is done with these religious minorities of these different groups like Sikhs and Buddhists and Hindus and Parsis, Jains, and etc. But it also, because of its exclusionary dynamics, it has caused a big debate on India's secularism and non-discrimination policy, etc. Now I'll talk about why Assam is important to study and to look at. Basically, if we see Assam and the historical backdrop of migration in Assam, we see that there has been a great influx of diverse communities in Assam, particularly. So if we go back to the pre-colonial era, we see that there has been, that was the time when the demographic composition was setting up in Assam. So the home community, a home dynasty actually came here, settled, and established as the indigenous, and there were other indigenous tribe of Assam which settled at this particular time. After that, during the time of colonial period, there was a big influx of migrants from Bengal and the peripheral areas to work as agricultural laborers and also as administrative officials in Assam. So that has caused a big influx of Bengalis, particularly Hindus and Muslim both, in this area. Now, as we see, the partition happened after that in 1947. So, as a result of partition, people from the East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, came in India seeking refuge, seeking a safe place to stay at. And after that, the biggest influx which happened was at in 1971, where the Bangladesh got independence, and 24th March of 1971 it got independence, and at that time again a lot of people came to Assam for seeking migrant. Now this big level of influx and immigration in Assam has caused the people to get up and protest against this migration which is happening, because they were really concerned about about their culture being threatened by this immigration which is happening, continuous immigration which is happening for centuries. So they started agitating against this particular cause, and illegal immigration cause. Now they started the immigration. They started the protest in 1979. The protest started by the ASU, which is the All Assam Student Union Organization. It started the protest against illegal immigration in Assam, and during the protest there was a lot of there were big massacres which happened, like the Nali massacre, which happened where more than 3,000 people were killed of the Muslim community during this time. So this agitation was 6 years long, and it really went so far. After that, the current government, which was there, the Congress government led by Rajiv Gandhi, they decided to come to a conclusion, and they made this legislation of Assam Accord in 1985. Basically, what this legislation does is it gives different rights to the people of the immigrant community, the people who migrated to India, and also safeguards Assam's social and cultural structure. Now, this particular act introduced the section 6A in the Constitution of India. This section basically provides and addresses the right of the migrants from Bangladesh, which came to Assam during this historical period. It basically, there was a cutoff date which was set up, which was 25th March 1971. Why this date is important, we have already discussed, because this is the date when Bangladesh got independence. So whosoever came after this particular date was considered an illegal immigrant and would not be entertained as a citizen of India. And there was two dates. The first date is January 1st, 1966, and the second is 25th March 1971. Now, the people who came between these two dates will be considered a citizen of India, but they would be excluded from the voting rights for a period of 10 years. And recently, which is very important, Supreme Court of India on October 13, 2024, gave a legal status to the upheld the 6A, Article 6A, and gave it a legal status, which is very important factor in this discussion. We'll move on now to the NRC. When the Assam Accord happened, the government decided that they'll revise and update the NRC in Assam because they need to detect the illegal immigrants in this particular region. So that started happening. The NRC started happening, and when the NRC and CAA both came into play, there was a big debate and a big confusion between what is NRC, what is CAA. So NRC is basically the National Register of Citizens. So it was first prepared and drafted in 1951, and after that it went under an update, a significant update in 2019. And when the result came, so there were 33 million people, applicants, who applied for this, and out of those 33 million people, 1.9 million of them were excluded. Now let's see what was the criteria, verification criteria. Basically, a person has to show that he or she belongs to, or their ancestry belongs to Assam before 1971. So they will be considered a citizen of India. So this verification, you can show any document, any legal document to show that, okay, your ancestry, your ancestor belonged to this particular place before 1971. Now, I'll first talk about the religion-wise exclusion data, which is very important. If we see that there were 7 lakh Muslim peoples which were excluded from the NRC. There were Bengali Hindus, 5 lakhs of them, which were excluded from NRC. And Assamese Hindus, these are the indigenous communities, the Assamese communities, the Ahom community, and the Koj Rajbangshis. Now, these communities are very important because they are the indigenous community of Assam, and they were also excluded from this. There were the Gorkhas, which were excluded, which is a militant community, which actually played a role in different wars in Assam which happened. Now, exclusion of genuine citizens. As we can see, there is exclusion of genuine citizens. These are the people who are indigenous to Assam. How can they be excluded from here? Now, the most important factor is they didn't have the documentation, because the people we are talking about are the people who are from the marginalized community. They're the illiterate people. They do not acquire the kind of documentation that is there to prove that they have an ancestry in Assam. And there was a lot of bureaucratic errors as well. So if we see Assam, and I've read different articles, and I've read there was an article by Amos Ways in which he says that there are families in which a father is a part of an RC and his children is not a part of an RC, and a sibling is, and the other sibling is not a part of an RC. So how could that happen? Just because of little clerical mistakes or spelling mistakes, they were excluded from this. So NRC impacted the lives of the people, and it created an uncertainty for more than 19 lakh of people, right? They will become stateless, and where would they go? There's an uncertainty for these people. So which is a topic of concern. Now I'll talk about a little about the implication of CAA in Assam. So what it does is, firstly, it exploits and violates the Assam Accord, because the Assam Accord sets the date to 24th March 1971. But the CAA makes the date go further to the 31st December 2014, which is a big extent if you see. And it's a imposition on Assam's historical struggle, which there's a lot of lives which have been which were lost during the struggle. And so after that, that's why the people of Assam are really in a position of unrest. Now, as we move forward, we see it will cause a demographic and linguistic shift in Assam particularly, because if I tell you the demographic composition of Assam, there is 45% of people of belonging to the or speaking the Assamese language, and there is 30 plus 30% or something people who speak Bengali language, more than 30%, 35% actually. So if that becomes really concerning for the people of indigenous Assamese people or in the indigenous communities, because they basically see as Bangalizing Assam. And there's also a shift in the electoral and political consequences that will have, electoral and political consequences, as because there is the increase of numbers of Bengali Hindu voters. So that would basically cause affect the political representation in this particular area. So the current government which supports CAA might get the Bengali Hindu votes, but they will lose the support of the Assamese people, the indigenous people of Assam. So that would happen. Moving forward with ethnic and communal tensions, this is a really big concern, because Assam has witnessed a history of massacres between the Assamese people and the Bengali Hindus and Muslims both on the issue of illegal immigration. And there has been tension between these two ethnic groups. So that would be further extended, which we don't want, obviously. And the rise of protest and civil unrest. So the rise of protest and civil unrest is the organization which are there, like the All India Assam Student Union and the KMSS, which is the Krishk Mukti Sangram Samiti, has already started protesting. They have protested already against the CAA, and basically they really feel that it would affect the ethnic composition of the area and threaten the Assamese identity. So these are some of the implications of CAA in Assam, how it affects the demographics of Assam and how the people react to it. Now we'll talk about the judicial scrutiny of CAA, the legal challenges which CAA has to face. First is the violation of right right to equality, because it excludes some certain group of people from the provision of the act. So it makes it discriminatory for certain communities. So that's how it violates the right to equality. And also it affects the basic structure of the constitution, which is secularism, and because it grants citizenship on the basis of religion, which is something the secularism of India does not allow. So that is there, but the approach is humanitarian. The government says that it is a humanitarian approach, which is true. It is a humanitarian approach, but the exclusion of certain community groups makes it concerning for some certain people. Now, conflict with the Assam Accord, I've already talked about this particular thing, that it violates the Assam Accord and the cutoff date. And the last is the arbitrary exclusion of other prosecuted minorities. Now, there are people who say, the critiques say, that there are also Rohingya Muslims from Myanmar, which is facing persecution. There's Ahmadiyya people in Pakistan, which is facing persecution. There is Shias and Hazras in Afghanistan and Pakistan. There is the Tamil in Sri Lanka, which are very important. There are Buddhist people in China. There are Hindu people in Bhutan, which are facing persecution. But the act does not include all these people. So that is also a legal challenge against CA. Moving on, now we'll shift to the international perspective and the global perspective. Now we'll talk more about how different nations all around the world see citizenship and what are their citizenship requirements and laws. So because the Citizenship Amendment Act has raised global concerns, internationally people are criticizing it. Some people are saying it's good, some people are saying it's bad. So now, when we talk about different states, like first let's talk about United States. So it follows the jus soli approach to citizenship, which is basically citizenship by birth. So anybody who's born in United States is a citizen. It becomes automatically a citizen of United States. And also it provides a pathway for naturalization, provides refuge and asylum to the people of persecuted minorities around the world. But recently, as we are seeing in the news and everywhere, America is now taking a big stance against illegal immigration and has already started deportation of different communities in America. And so that is something very similar, which we see currently in a global stage, similar to CAA. And talking about France, France also has a very has also jus soli kind of citizenship law, which if somebody is born in France will be the citizen of France. But the integration requirements are very strict in France. The UK also has it has a combination of jus soli and jus sanguinis citizenship, which is the citizenship by descent and the citizenship by birth. But after it withdrawed itself from the European Union in the post Brexit, which happened after that, the UK has actually tightened their immigration laws, which makes it more difficult to become a citizen of United Kingdom. Germany has a policy of same jus sanguinis, which and recently it has played a big role in including people from and refugees from different countries. And Israel has the same policy for the people all around, which is very similar to India's stance. In Israel, as the law of return is there in Israel, which gives a grant to all the Jewish people around the world to come and become a part of Israel. Whoever is there. So that is very similar to India's stance for the persecuted religious minorities, for Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, Buddhists, and so on and so forth. Moving on to the international human right and legal perspectives. Now here, if we see the international bodies like the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the Amnesty International, they criticize CAA for its religious exclusion because CAA, obviously we have talked about it, that how it excludes certain religious groups and violates the principle of non-discrimination, which is there under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, which is the Article 26 of ICCPR. So CAA's exclusion of Muslim is seen as a violation there. And also the refugee protection and non-refoulement, since India has not actually signed the Refugee Convention 1951, so we are not obligated towards giving asylum to any particular community, but we still choose to give asylum and support the people who are facing persecution in our neighboring countries. So that is there. And UN special rapporteurs say that CAA and there will be a large population of people which will be stateless if CAA and RC happens together, these two legislations. So that's the approach of these particular international bodies towards CAA. Now, talking about lastly, we'll talk about some case studies from around the world, which so CAA is not an exception internationally. We can see how there are different countries all around the world which have very similar, even worse situations regarding citizenship. So the first is Bangladesh. Bangladesh has said no to accepting the deported people from under NRC. So whichever are there, which we have detected as illegal immigrants, they will be not accepting it. And they said that this is our internal issue and we should not pose any pressure on our neighboring countries to accept these people. Even though they have hosted 1.2 million Rohingyas people from Myanmar as refugees, but they're not accepting their own Bengali peoples from India, sorry. Now, Sri Lanka has the policy, the 1946 Ceylon Citizenship Act. Ceylon is basically the historical name of Sri Lanka. So this particular policy is discriminatory against the Tamil people, the Indian origin Tamil people particularly. It discriminates again. And there are 11% or 12% of these Indian origin Tamil people in Sri Lanka, which has faced discrimination, and they have not granted citizenship. There's Myanmar. Myanmar has the 1962 citizenship law, which makes the Rohingyas stateless. And it has led to persecution of these people. And we can see they fled Myanmar, and then they came to Bangladesh, and through that way they came to India. And now we can see them all around India. We can see them in Delhi even. right? The Rohingyas people, the Rohingya Muslims. So that's also very similar to the act. And there's Kenya in Africa. Let's talk about some African countries. So Kenya is there. Now, there are two communities, Makonda community and Shona community. Now, these two communities basically immigrated from the Makonda community has immigrated from Mozambique, and Shona community immigrated from Zimbabwe, and they came as agriculture workers and they came as missionaries, Christian missionaries respectively, and they were denied citizenship even though they lived for centuries in Kenya. They were denied citizenship, right? So which is very similar to the situation of the people who have been excluded from NRC in India. Uganda, if we talk about, under the Idi Amin's rule in 1960s, he came as the president under the presidentship of Idi Amin. He introduced some law which targeted the policy, the citizenship policy, and actually excluded the Indian origin people. During the time of colonialism, the people from India, Pakistan, they immigrated to Uganda for business purposes, for trade purposes, and also they were professionals there as law, medicine, and in teaching field. So after Uganda excluded the people of Indian origin, what happened is there was a big disrupt in the demographics and economy of the country, because they did not have human resource which the Indian brought there. So their economy fell down, their the revenue fell down, their tax revenue fell down, and that was all caused by this exclusionary citizenship law in Uganda, which we can take some lessons from. Now, Tanzania is there, where the Asian origin citizenship was revoked under the president Julius Nyerere in 1960s. This also happened where it's very similar to Uganda's case, where the people of Asian origin has to go and take the citizenship of India or revoke their citizenship of India or UK, because it was very hard for them to take citizenship in Tanzania. Now comes United States of America, which we all know during the time of 9/11, there was a big Muslim ban policy in United States, and which is similar to CAA. And there was this debate over anchor babies, because it gives just Jews solely citizenship right. So basically, there was a big debate on anchor babies and legal immigration, which also resembles the case which is happening in India on the undocumented migrant immigrants in India. Moving on to the impacts of this in the international context. So basically, India and Bangladesh relation will face uh, uh, a big problem because of this. Sheikh Hasina has expressed that concerns regarding CA and NRC, and it strains our ties with Bangladesh. Even though we have good relationship with Bangladesh, it makes it a little salty. Now, India's global standing, if we see, everything is good. Our approach is good. CAA actually, because it's like, when you do something good, everybody just tries to look at one aspect of it. So that is what is happening with CAA. It is doing something good. It is providing humanitarian help to the people of persecuted communities. But just because of its exclusion of a particular community, it has raised so many international red flags in the international diplomatic circles, and it has affected or will affect India's trade and strategic partnership with different nations. How US and European Union sees it. So the Freedom House and the Human Rights Watch, which are two organizations which works for human rights, have again raised their concern about the discriminatory provisions of CAA, and they really feel that India is world's largest democracy and really should not have this exclusionary provisions. So in conclusion, the global comparison highlights that India's CAA is not entirely unprecedented, as we saw that there are similar laws, there are similar precedents in the world, and but just because of this exclusionary religious bias, it has raised concerns, and we can learn from the international experiences of different countries, especially Africa, I would say, and South Asia. We can learn from that, and we should address the issue of statelessness, which is very important as to see as a humanitarian perspective. It is very important to take into consideration the statelessness concern of the people now, and maintaining a domestic stability and international credibility is also really important. If one state of India is in chaos, so the country should really work to solve that particular issue. And lastly, some political recommendation, and that would be all. So there should be legal safe. First is the constitutional and legal safeguard. The people who have been exempted from NRC and no, wait a minute. Yeah. So constitutional legal safeguard is basically to Assam. Assam should be a part of ILP, which is inner line permit. There's Arunachal Pradesh, there's Nagaland, there's Mizoram, which are already a part of ILP. So that Assam should also become a part of it, so that the people who are coming in Assam has to have a permit and cannot reside in Assam for a longer period of time, and that would really preserve the culture of Assamese people, which they are concerned about. And humanitarian approach in the citizenship is basically the people who have been excluded from NRC should be giving the basic humanitarian help, and there should be some alternatives, because we cannot leave them stateless, and also we cannot deport this much amount of people, which is 90 lakh of people. We cannot deport them. So we really have to work on alternatives like long-term visas or work permits, right? And do these things, or provide basic healthcare and education to the people of these communities. Social economic development should happen on the bordering areas, and there should be a protection of indigenous rights by creating autonomous council under the sixth schedule of the constitution, which is there already. It should include the other regions of the border regions, particularly of Assam. And there should be a diplomatic talk with Bangladesh, which will really help in which will really help solving the border security issue, which is the biggest issue, and also repartition of the people which have been excluded from NRC. And public dialogue and confidence building measures with the people of Assam. That should also happen. That government really should make some committee to talk to the people of to the people at ground level of ASU and different organizations which are there, and really work on some specific region to make it better for the people there to understand this, and make it the process bit more transparent, so the people will not be in unrest. So that was it. That was about the presentation. uh, thank you so much. Now I'll let you
Thank
guys
you.
ask some questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saurabh, for your insights. And since this topic is culminated with so many layers of geographical, indigenous, and political disturbances, it was supposed to be handled with a lot of sophistication, and you did it really well. So thank you for that. And now we will now move on to the audience's Q&A session. And the first question I'm taking is by Miss Sreshta, and she is asking, do you think that citizenship laws in India has become tools of exclusion or political opportunism?
Now that is really too much to say that it has become a tool just for politics or just for political representation. I don't really think so. I really think there's a genuine humanitarian approach behind it. And even though if you try to create and make this topic about politics or politicize it basically, so it would not run you last, because there's I think there's more hate than there's more support if you do certain things like that. So I really think it's a genuine approach, but it has to make some amendments in it to make it more inclusive for the people. And yeah, so that's what I think.
Okay, so the next question I'm taking is by Miss Samriddhi, and She's asking that, according to you, how can national security, humanitarian concerns, and regional sentiments be balanced in Assam?
Be what?
Be balanced in Assam.
Be balanced in Assam. Yeah. So I really think that there should be certain things which I already told, that there should be first of all, for national security, the border security should be improved, because I think I was, when I was doing this research and reading a lot of different articles. So this thing is not recent. It has been going on from time immemorial. And I think, and still the people are coming from Bangladesh to India, so it is the lack of border security, so that should happen. And there should also be development in the region of Assam, because Assam, when I was reading, is the region which is rich in different, it's so many resources in oil and tea, and still it is one of the least developed state in India. So I really think the government should work on the development of the region, economic development of the region, rather than doing political actions. And yeah, so that can happen. Those are the things which can happen.
Okay, and so the last question, which we usually ask to all these speakers, is that what was your experience throughout the with our initiative? Something you want to share with our audience today?
My God, there's so much. So first of all, it's just a great honor and a great privilege. I have a lot of respect and appreciation for Manish sir, because he's just the most, like, one of the most kind person I've met, and he just supported me a lot and made me so comfortable during this whole process. I was just really happy. And I would really like to thank my batchmate, Miss Manshi Mehra. So she was the one who introduced me to this, and I really appreciate her for giving me this platform. This is just a great platform to start with, because I was a little off from academics the last year because of some injury, and so it's just a comeback for me. So yeah, I really appreciate the stage, and it just made me, to make a strong comeback in the academics again. So I just love it. And
Okay,
everybody,
thank you so much.
everyone from the team was really supportive. So that's one more thing. Really kind, really supportive. And also, all these different scholars, who are part of the team, has given me such great reviews regarding my presentation. So that really helped me to, change it, amend it, alter it a bit, and to make it which it was today. So yeah, I really appreciate everybody in the team.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Saurabh, and once again, congratulations for such a wonderful depiction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, proceeding further, I would like to invite today's guest of honor once again, Mr. Jagdish Bisnoy sir, for providing his final remarks over today's topic and over this initiative as well.
Yeah, thank you, Shailendra. So I'll be sharing my perspective on the three components. First, I'll start with the presentation of Sourabh, and then I'll jump on the what is my perspective on the CEA and NRC, and on the last part, I'll talk about the my experience, and I'll try to connect with the real story of CEA and NRC. So starting with the Ashura presentation, I think I was not expecting that much clarity in the presentation because as Manisha has told me that there will be only the graduate or postgraduate scholar. But right now I feel that India is having, and the academia is having a bright future. I think a lot of good scholars are prepared under the umbrella of GS. Yes. So I think Manish, Shar has told me that this entire initiative is initiated long back and completed 200 plus talks recently. So I think 200 people have have entered in an ecosystem of academia, and they are sharing their knowledge and experiences with their peers or the other young minds. So I think this is a great opportunity for those people who is willing to be a part of this leadership process. So once again, the congratulations to the team and the Manisha. And now I'm jumping to the Saurabh. I think your presentation was very articulated. I think you have touched on the 5 to 6 component. You have started with the what is the basic. The limitation of this CEA and the government provisions under the CEA and NRC, and then you have taken a few example from the historical perspective of the entire evolution related to the CA and NRC, and that was again you have covered the international perspective, how this the international agency and the other the countries is taking this the citizenship initiative in their respective organizations and country. And then you have directly jumped to the case study, which was highly relevant to understand or compare the what is the real aspect within the Asian continent. That was again amazing. And last was the policy recommendation. That was a brilliant. I was not expecting that that one scholar can give a recommendation after reading a lot of the articles and getting the information from the open sources. So I think that the last part impressed me a lot, because you have given a right recommendation, I think. That is a very important, because how we are initiating all these processes, that is an important aspect of completing any kind of policies. Because policy making process is very simple, because when you are jump in a cubicle, or you just visualize, you just travel with the data and just make a plan, simply plan. Because I was the part of the both process. I worked in the ground level while I was trying to implement the aspirational district transformation program. In the ground level, I was trying to facilitate the process of leadership development of district collectors in the Assam. And later on, I have worked with the Niti Aayog group called Strategic Initiative Group, where I was helping out to make an policy, or draft a policy for the ADC program. So I think these kind of realistic policy recommended is very necessary to make a good policy and how we implement. Because there was a lot of questions regarding the CA and RC implementation process, because the government was taking a lot of initiative that was highly questionable with respect to the ground experiences. So before jumping to the experiences, I must talk about the CA and NRC. I little bit be in a radical related to the CA, because the Sourabh has taken a mediocre approach to generalize the entire CA and NRC process. But I'll not try to generalize the entire process. I'll take a quick example to justify the CA and the NRC, because this is the necessary, or we cannot have any kind of negotiation over the national security issues that we have to keep in mind. Or whenever we try to do politics related to the national security, or the who can be a citizen of these countries. So that is a highly debatable issue. I know, as a political science, or as a young scholar or an academician, you can do a lot of discussion and dialogue, but you cannot directly question on the intention of the process, because government was facing the lot of problems regarding the illegal migration, and somehow the lot of people was trying to create a simple base based on the refugee part, that people are highly discriminated nearby the countries. Because we have to understand what is the history of the entire CA and NRC, because this process was initiated from the 1947. That time the two country was initiated. Later on in 71, the Bangladesh was created, but both countries was Islamic Republic, and that would be given the entire the process of the law was created with the in favor of one religion. So we cannot say that the high level of discrimination was there. We're taking in a quick example of some Rohingya people and justifying to that these people were facing that discrimination as well, so we can give in a citizenship. But when we talk on a real-time example of Assam, because Assamese people were criticizing these issues from a long, because it's not an issue started in 1971 when I was having a discussion with some Asu people, those who fought against the government process in the 1940s, I mean the 71. The people shared that how they fought their own fight with the government to make this a cultural unity within the Assam state, because Assam is Assam, even we can talk about the entire northeast, is a very sensitive state. So you can directly not justify that we can give a citizens who be all the religion, because even the Assamese Muslim is not accepting that we can give this Bangladeshi, or they called in a word called Bangladeshi Mia. So they have a very huge differentiation between the two parts, that one Assamese Muslim and second one is the Bangladeshi Mia. So Bangladeshi Mia is having a different identity because they are coming with an approach of the Bengali language and the Bengali culture, and the Assamese people and even the Assamese Muslim, they are celebrating the Bihu and the cultural festival which is related to the Assam. So we have to take in that aspect in our mind as well, because the Assamese Muslim is also fighting against the Bangladeshi Mia. So we cannot say that the entire Muslim, because the narrative was created in the earlier in 2020 that the Islam, this entire process is against the Muslim community and people is trying to destroy the unity between the, because this entire CA process is related to giving the citizenship. So it was not taking anyone's citizenship, because there is several other process to take in a citizen in within the India. So the other people, if they are facing any challenge related to CA, then they can use the other processes. When we talk about the NRC, people was just mentioning that the NRC has created lot of troubles for a rural people who was not having that much clarity about the NRC process. Even they are not having the documents. So if we talk about that one person is not having at least his father's document, that cannot be justified. Because when it's come to taking a benefit of the government policies, the government schemes, the all people, they can share their all document from the late 100 years before, or when it's come to the showing their for the national security part, because this is a highly challenging part, because all people were facing that how this this democracy have changes the Assamese perspective. When you travel in the Assam is separately divided into three parts. One is the Upper Assam, that where we can talk about the Jorat, the Tinsukia, the New Lakhimpur, and one is the a downside part that is nearby the Tripura and Mizoram and the part, and third part is the lower part of the Brahmaputra, is nearby the Guwahati, then the Dhubri and the Barpeta and the Baksa. You can see the all tribal population is also facing their demographic changes, and these people are influencing highly their cultural aspect. And there was, you can see in the high increase in the crimes as well, because the Assam was considered as one of the safest state in the India, because the tribals were respecting to each people. Even we have introduced a lot of other the LLP and the processes, but that cannot stop these kind of illegal peoples. We can take an example from the one example that was raped by the one illegal migrants in the Assam, and that took, I think, in 2014. That has created a lot of protest in the entire Assam, and that time Assam was also requesting to introduce these kind of initiative, and this entire process was implemented after the confirmation from the Supreme Court. We have, I mean, the government has followed the entire process with the support of the Supreme Court. So if we are questioning on the CAA or NRC processes, that means we are questioning to the our higher the position or honorable Supreme Court. So that we have to also talk about. And when we talking about the global perspective, I think that globally, when we talk about in Europe, you can see the right now the demographic changes in the Europe, especially when we are talking about the Hungary and Austria, and these countries is absolutely disagreeing on the point that we are not allowing a single illegal migrant in their countries. So if this India is taking any kind of the initiative related to these kind of the national citizenship, so already it's become an international issue, and all these the independent organization and the NGOs, and even the organization called UN is trying to question on the intention of the Indian people, because we have adopted fortunately the secular country in the 1947 we welcomed all people, but right now we have to make sure that we'll be going with a harder process to make sure that all people will become a safe in their country, or all people will get in their rights. If we'll try to destroy, because these all people have faced a lot of problem. Recently, I think I have heard one interview from the Vikrant, that is giving in coverage of the champion trophy. He was visiting in Pakistan, and he's talking about there was around 48 Hindu temples were there. Only right now only 2 temples were there. So where is the rest for around the 45 or 44 temples? So no one is talking about that, how these temples were destroyed. I can share in the real time the videos that is showing that these people were forcibly migrated in a different part of these Bangladesh. So, recently we have seen this entire issue in the Bangladesh. This is not long before, because it's 2 or 3 months before, how people were targeted the one community. So we can see these all the process, and we can conclude this this presentation with that. This is a right process that government is taking, or we have to make sure that government should take a strong step toward the CA and NRC. But yes, I'm agree on the one point that within a specific state we can take a different step. Assam is having a different demography or different process. Even if we are implementing in the south, then we can take a different processes or different approaches. That I am agree, but this is a very necessary to take in, because these Rohingya people have reached to Delhi. So this is not in a long, because in the upcoming few years we will be facing in a lot of crimes in the Delhi as well. So we make sure that everyone will be safe within this country. So we have to make sure that these kind of initiative should be taken in India. I know my word will be a little harsh toward the people who take a liberal approach toward this kind of issue, but I'm deeply resonated with these kind of government issues, and I try to appreciate the government for taking these kind of initiative. This is all about this presentation. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. I think beyond this talk, I must appreciate the Manish sir who is motivating me as well to taking in a lot of other initiative within my college and in their department. I think his efforts has made a lot of impact on the ground, and that will make a large change in the upcoming years, and we'll see a huge change in Delhi University as well. So thank you so much for inviting me and giving me opportunity to share my perspective. Thank you.